And we're live. Yeah, so I'm getting right fucking into it today. I finished work 4 minutes ago, and yeah, I'm gonna actually get the real project moving. So obviously yesterday, we spent, I think it was about 2.5 hours or something, sculpting a base mesh, which is, what you've got on screen now. We got this guy who looks nothing like the ref, but it's a human head, so it's better than nothing. But yeah, I'm going to get this into Maya, so we can start the process of doing a lineup and getting like actual proportions nailed down. So that's going to be the first thing we do, and obviously it'd be good to get a render for the end of series progression thing I like to do on portraits. So yeah, just going to get right into it. There's no reason really to not get right into it. So let's decimate this guy down. Z plugin. In fact, actually, let's not decimate him down. Let's just export the raw group. Export. Don't know why scale set to 0. Set it to 1. Export, and let's just move the ref onto the other screen. So let's go to projects, personal projects, Gustave Dore, modeling, ZBrush, blockout sculpt. Let's just call this exports. Hey Jarwin, how you doing? Apologies if I pronounce your name wrong. Head geo. Cool, got that exported. Let's get Maya open. We'll have to create a project. Get everything rolling. So in terms of renderer, I was debating going back to RenderMan for this project and kind of debating staying on Arnold. I quite enjoyed how easy the process of color spaces was, in that it's basically automatic. I might switch to RenderMan later, because obviously we've got quite a long time before we do anything involving shading, so we can always change quite a bit later. Yeah, so I think for now I'll stay with Arnold and Yeti for any fur. There's going to be very, very subtle fur in this project. I mean, he's not exactly the hairiest guy. He's got no visible eyebrows or eyelashes or hair. There will be eyelashes there, but they'll be very subtle. Eyebrows, maybe there'll be a hair or two. Most of the groom for this project will be more like microfibers coming off of the cloths. So that's something we'll look into, but it's not the priority. So I need to set a project. Come on. Set project, and let's just go set project. Let's just set it to there. Create default workspace. And in terms of getting the scale right, I'm just going to import FK Twigs model and match it roughly to that. So let's get started. I'm going to let's just start this with cool. File, import. Oh, where did I go there? Cool. So that's our head. He is currently 2 centimeters wide. So obviously we need to work on that. In terms of camera focal length for this project, so I think the correct focal length for the camera would be around 50mm, because obviously it's a painting from life. Gustave Dore didn't exactly have a camera set around. So I imagine he painted it from life or from imagination, which either way is going to mean what you see with your eyes rather than what you see with a lens. So I'm going to make the assumption that it's around 50mm, which, if I remember correctly, is roughly the most equivalent to human eyesight. It'll never be 1-to-1, but it can be close. Let's go modeling, Maya exports, head. Just grab this. So that's the correct scale of the head. So let's just get him in a group and scale it up and translate it until it's roughly in the same place. Naturally, it will be a fair bit bigger, with it being a man's head. An old man's head, no less. Come on. I think something like that will do for the lineup. Cool. That'll do for scale, just as a ballpark. So how much bigger did that have to be? 10 times, basically. Yeah, so this project is just going to be a head, at least for the most part. So let's delete you. And let's get, I guess for scale that might be okay for now. So we can probably export him back. Export selection. Yeah, I just want to keep the project simple. Granted, it's not just a head, like it does have most of the upper body as well. And I will probably want to make like a proper background for it in terms of, you know, it's not just a blank sheet that I'll do something with in comp. Like I kind of want to model maybe a board behind him or draped cloth or something just to make it feel like it's in a physical set. But that's something that's yet to be decided on. Cool. So let's import that subtool. Let's just duplicate it for now. Import. Go. So what I like to do for this sort of stuff is let's just go geometry, delete lower, geometry, you don't have any subdivision levels, good. Same with you, and you probably have a few, right? Yes, delete lower. So what I like to do is just merge them down and then manually match them, rather than export all the tools. I know I could use, what's the name of it? Something master. Z plugin. I could use transpose master and export the mesh, put it in Maya and do all that stuff, but with it being a raw sculpt, I find it's just quicker to just grab all the meshes and put them together. Especially since I don't have subdivision levels at the moment, or nothing that's worth maintaining. So we can just grab that now and scale that up so we can go to geometry. Oh no, sorry, not geometry, deformation, and just size him up. It doesn't have to be a perfect lineup, it just has to be close enough. So let's get that, and then offset in the y-axis. Oh shit. Escape to cancel. Give it a moment. I'm gonna trust it. And the mesh is already symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter. Offset minus 500. I'm gonna be a bit more careful this time. And let's move him backwards while we're at it. A little bit bigger. I could use transpose line at this point, I guess. always forget what the buttons are though. Let's just grab the move, do that. A bit smaller. There we go. So let's just delete the scaled one. And then we'll split parts. There we go. Merge you down. And then meshes that did have a subdivision, we can reconstruct that. But let's just save this for now. File 4. There we go. So let's reconstruct those subdivs. Geometry. No, it won't go back further than that. Yeah, that's fine. Reconstruct subdiv is such a fucking amazing tool. You can probably do it a few times on these. Huh. I love how it can go lower than your original mesh. It's such a fucking clever tool. Pretty sure around there was the actual lowest though, right? Because that seems a bit extreme. So let's delete lower than that. There we go. And then it didn't have any subdivs on the other stuff. And I find that's the quickest way. It's not, well, it's not the quickest way, but it's the quickest way for me of getting all the meshes in the right place. So now what I can do is just set all of them to the lowest res and export them and use that as my Maya kind of lineup. So let's just go in and do that. So send everything to its lowest, so it's not too high res. In fact, we can just run Decimation Master, right? So we're just going to temporarily remerge all these together. Cool. Run Decimation Master. And let's take that to 10% decimation pre-process. How do you do this right after your work? Don't get sick of doing CG? Well, my work day isn't this. Like I really do wholeheartedly enjoy doing CG, like a lot. Honestly, couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. Not in terms of my free time, I mean like career-wise. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, okay, I've spent all of today testing NDA. Now let's do something that's more my type of thing. So these personal projects are really good for that. Granted, I do take breaks from these. I mean, you know, if you look at my stream past, you can see like 2-week gaps here or there, so don't do it all the time. But because I'm in the early stages of this project, I'm still in that state of being excited to do the work. There we go. So let's get that into, let's just call this cool. So that'll be our general lineup mesh that we're going to use. Delete you, file, import. I could probably reference it actually. File, create reference. Keep the file sizes low. Cool. So then all we need to do, why are you full screen? There we go. So that's referenced in. We're gonna stay with Arnold, so let's just grab a new material. Standard surface. Let's give this something that's vaguely skin-like. Cool. Arnold, lights, Skydome. Oh, do I need to set up the color spaces too, don't I? Preferences. Oh, that's not what I want. There's a moment to do this thing. Cool. So we want to set that to utility. Was it raw that you set this to? It wasn't, was it? It wasn't sRGB texture either. So then, to our asset library, just use the standard. That is not the right color space. Oh, that's not right. Is it linear sRGB? No, it's not. So it's just texture, I guess. Can't be right either. What was it supposed to be? Maybe that was right. Alright, cool. So he's facing Z forward, which is what we want, so let's turn the light around. And he's he's lit from his right, which makes this angle about correct. And we're going to need a camera setup. So let's go new. This one's going to be called refcam. And then I found out the resolution of this image, don't I? Refcam. Let's just set this guy. Focal length, so let's go with 50. Cool, and then let's get the image in first, because I think that tells me what I need. Image plane. Dore, ref. Beautiful. And that image needs to be brought in, I guess, a texture as well. Yep, seems about right. And let's change the depth of this guy. Set to 0. Cool. So 945, I need to remember 945. That's clearly not right. Okay, where is it that we... I always forget how to do this bit. We can always just do that for now. Feels like 50mm might be the wrong resolution. Wrong, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Wrong size. So is 50 mil wrong? I guess if he's far away, then this never gets easy. Let's try 80. So that seems to fit a lot easier. So let's go with that for now. So temporarily, I'm just going to lock all this stuff down. And let's do a super quick render. I mean super quick. While we're at it, let's change resolution. So maintain. So let's double this. Let's go to 360. Oh. Cool. We're just gonna save that scene. This feels like it's not loading the color space. I also don't want this to be visible, right? How do I make this invisible? I can always literally hide it. Why doesn't get rid of it? Interesting. Okay, so that seems a bit contrasty to me. Let's get back into Game Manager. No, that's not what I want. Back into the preferences, that's what I need. I'm just going to enable it and disable it. Should brighten this up. There we go. That's what I expected to see. So just so we've not got that awful background the whole time, I've got that locked so we can change out of that. I'm just going to put a plane behind them. Oh, we could add the depth of field now, if we really wanted to waste some time. I mean, how much of a difference does that make? So I just really don't like having that that background. And I could always do the thing that I always love to do, which is rotate this to the left anyway, and then just dim the fuck out of it. Or we could actually get a genuinely helpful HDR, which is always another option. Let's put that back to the right angle. Let's find a light for this guy.
You make me feel like each other.
Alright, so let's try 60. What I'm looking for is this shape here. I'm just wondering how far do I have to push the light before I get that. Granted, that could also be, you know, bad lighting on my part, or bad modeling on my part. Although that looks like it might be the right angle. So we are starting to get these highlighted a little bit. Well, I did quite like the stronger side lighting, and his nose is a little bit broken to the sides, so maybe that will help. There's also an argument to be made that subsurface on this guy needs to be low because he's covered in paint. Oh, that's interesting. Does random walk get rid of that? Because the original random walk handles that better. Granted, that will need to be changed, but. Set weight to about 0.5. Cool, and then let's just check our render settings while we're at it. Progressive. Can put this up a little bit. Let's go 5 max subdivs and increase the subsurface a little bit. Right. Just remove subsurface for now. Keep things fast. No, because it gives us a bad impression of what our shapes are actually doing. Right, so we'll just let that clean up for a moment, and then we can do a quick comparison of the render to the ref in terms of like actually lining it up in Krita. Since the images are the same resolution, you can just drag and drop them into the same document. So while that does its thing, let's get Krita open. I'm going to put that in a different screen. Cool. So let's open, oh, got him there, that's good. And then what we can do is just save this image out. We can keep it going in the background. Save image. And then we're going to want to make a progress images render. And we'll want to keep that one as a backup. So images, oh, we got ref, let's add so we'll call this one stream 1. If I know. Cool. So that will now function as kind of our progress for the first stream, since we haven't actually touched a model in this one other than scaling it. We can also kill the render now because that should be clean enough. And let's just open that in a different doc. Cool. And then what we can do is just copy this layer and paste that in. Oh yeah, doubled the resolution. Okay. Delete you. Image, resize canvas. Constraint proportions. So what's my render settings? (18:10). Could have done that in my head. Could have absolutely done that in my head, but oh well. Image, scale image to new size. Cool. Now we can paste the layer. Just save this guy out as well, actually. Just add scaled. So mouth scale's not a million miles away. What we need to do now is give ourselves a ton of notes. I'm surprised actually how close some of this stuff is. It's not that far off, really. This side of the mouth is completely wrong though. So let's add a layer to paint on top. Oh. But let's just, easy way to do this might be to add these lines. So let's do that. So let's just match that line. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be ballparked. It's a bit muddy here. I think the chin's gone off in that direction. Hard to tell. And then we got the ear there. Cool. So we got that. Not much point in marking this eye, but we may as well do something. So now we can see how big the differences are. So the bottom lip thickness is actually about right. The top lip needs to come up more. Nose needs to be more narrow. So I can keep this and start sculpting. And the nice thing is, from this point on, we can just adjust one mesh at a time if that's all we need. So granted, for these first few streams, it'll be a lot more chaotic than that. I should probably get the brow in there. So let's get that. Every time the song comes on, I get so happy. So we got the brow, like that kind of size. Yeah, so that eye needs to come up quite a lot. In fact, both eyes need to come up quite a lot. This is in almost the right place. And so is this. So it's literally just the eye position being way too low. And the chin's too wide too. And top lip. Those are the main changes. So let's reopen the latest sculpt. And all I'm going to do, so we have something to kind of come back to, is keep the old one. So I'm just going to rename that to head old. No, just keep that hidden. So let's get moving these eyes. How much higher do they need to go? It's like something like that, right? So we'll just get the eyes and just move them. Okay. One of the other changes is top lip. How should that need to come up? Let's check Critter. Quite a lot actually in the case of that. I'm still surprised at how close that matches. And the nose itself isn't really that far off either, it just needs to do that. Was the next bit. So does it go up or in? I'm gonna vote in and up. And then the ears for the next bit. Ear needs to come down. Well, that ear needs to come down. That one needs to go up. Okay. I can actually see the lobe now. Okay, so that's actually fine. It just needs to point inwards more. Okay. Eye spacing is about right, but this nose needs to come out more too. Stuff like that. And you need to go in more. Also come down a bit, but go in while you're at it. Alright, backface masking is still on. A lot of this tweaking stuff gets a lot easier when we've got retopo, but it's still kind of important to get a lot of this stuff done now. So the last thing you want to do is build topo for a certain shape and then change it. Did the top of this crease need to come in at all? Let's check. Let's hide that. Yeah, top of that crease needs to be pulled in. It's like the same width. More like that. I feel like that eye is still off. That's starting to get somewhere. Well, let's get that mound in place. I'm mostly focusing on the bits I want to match in this symmetrical stage are the most normal parts. So the problem I've got is it's a very asymmetrical expression naturally. So I can't match this eye because that one's the craziest. It's easier to match the more normal eye and then asymmetry to this. But then for the mouth, it's the opposite. This side is much more normal than that side. So matching this one's easy. So I've got to do like a hybrid of both sides and then add the asymmetry later, which is not the easiest way to do it, but it feels like it might be the safest way. So that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'll move that back off screen. And now that I've got the proportions fixed, I can kind of adjust forms that feel wrong in camera. For example, this feels like it's not rounded enough. And then that might help a bit. Bottom lip was about the right width, so I don't want to adjust that too much. This feels like it should be a bit fuller though. And this definitely needs to be more pronounced. Oh, cheekbones, I didn't check the cheekbones. Cheekbones are too wide, so let's pull those in a bit. God, it's so creepy though. So let's check Holden there. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not more obvious. This isn't working for me though. Blend into that a bit more. There we go, that's feeling better. Pull that away from camera. So it is definitely the most work. I always keep doing that. What annoys me is that one of them's not that far off from matching, and the other one is so far off. They just need to go towards the middle slightly, don't they? Okay, so is forward a bit, because that won't change that angle, but it will change this one. And eyes that way a bit. So that means that you need to go straight on that way. Because if I move it this way, fundamentally that doesn't change the angle of this guy, but it does change the angle of this guy, makes him a lot smaller. Understanding 3D shapes is so fucking weird sometimes. I'm gonna move those in slightly. Very subtle though. And then move those in a little bit. So you just feel like it should be a little bit fatter. And then I can go in and make the ears feel like it is. Right, we need to get those ears moving. So, let's have a super quick ref hunt. I'm just gonna search old man ears. I'm gonna get this on screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So I don't need to worry about finding one that matches his exact ear shape yet. I just need to find something that's, you know, just a healthy old man ear. I say healthy. I need something that's not malformed. Because the painting is obviously very... why does that come up? The painting is very... very non-descriptive of the ears. Like, really doesn't show much. Which is sometimes a fun thing, sometimes it's really annoying. So we just need to find a man. This guy's ears I feel like could be a really good match. I just want to find something where I can copy the structure of them. Maybe this guy could be cool, but he's pretty low res. Kind of like this. I'm gonna use this as the main ref. So let's drag that. My favorite feature. Just drag that over here. There we go. Love that feature so much. And now we can kill that, drag you to the screen. I'm gonna sculpt that ear as I see it. I'm not gonna worry about matching the shapes in my concept anymore. I'm just gonna worry about getting an ear that looks like an ear. So, first thing, fix all these shapes. This is also goes into the whole thing of you don't realize how little you understand shapes until you check them against reference. It's absolutely like, you know, the best way to go about stuff is always check ref, but you know, you don't need to follow it from the absolute get-go, but do at least try to follow it from pretty early stage. So I need to get rid of you. Is that backface masking disabled? I don't know. Automask. Anyone have any questions as I work my way through this? ear shape. Need to correct that a bit. I feel like I could probably get away with doing that a bit more. It's this overhang that normally makes ears look very CG. If you want to know like one thing that will really help push ears further in your work, it's probably this bit. I don't have the answers to how to fix it. I have what I like to do, which is hollow this bit out. It doesn't always fix things, but it can help quite a lot. Worry about the back of the ears later. Probably still need to reduce the skull volume back here. Let's mask out the ears quickly. Did I accidentally make a map of Texas? Still getting the ear there, aren't I? Let's inflate that guy a bit. I always find that I underestimate the move tool as a sculpting brush. Something I do a bit too often. I need to learn to really use the move tool. it can do some really great shapes, like on its own almost. Cool, so we got that bit working. I'm going to focus on the brows for a little bit. First thing I'm noticing is that the angle I've got is wrong. It needs to point that way a bit more, like away from the middle. Like that kind of way. Feels a bit better. Let's do the comparison again. It's definitely looking a lot closer. This crease has got misshapen along the way. Be nice and sharp. I also need to look at some neck ref soon. In fact, why soon when could be now? Let's just get the shape generally corrected. Too much volume on that muscle. Just maybe off screen. Oh, I can't move it with my webcam. There we go. save this scene. Right, so yes, I think that's an improvement. Was there anything on the chin? Because I've not actually moved the chin itself. Chin needs to go further back, maybe? Oh, that could be what these changes were. The chin needs to go further back. Because his mouth is open. Yeah, that makes sense. So if all this is going back, that means this would move that way, which would, in theory, create some creases back here, right? So draw pivots up here, so that would have moved backwards. So let's just get some generic wrinkles up here. Nothing too major, I just want to see what's going on. Yeah, that makes some physical sense. He looks like he's got gills now though, so let's chill that the fuck out a bit. Simplify the forms. Cool. So let's save that out. I'm going to delete the old head. Save. Let's merge all these down. See plugin. Do we have a clean enough render from you? Yeah, that'll be fine. Leave that to pre-process for a bit. I hate this song every time it comes up, but I haven't learned how to stop it from coming up yet. This is still processing, so I need to leave it well alone. I think the nose might need to be thinner. It is looking a little bit chunky at the moment. As in, like, looking at this bit here, looks like it's pulled, like, almost like it doesn't get wider at all, whereas here it looks like it's wider at the tip. Cool, it's done. The plugin, decimate current. Cool. Let's export that. Just make sure that it's just keep this. Now let's do that. So I'm just gonna resave this render so that we've got a progress render definitely. Wrong project. Cool. And let's save a snapshot as well so we can see the difference here. Store snapshot. So all we need to do is go into the reference editor and replace this reference. And oh, it did save over. Okay, cool. So I should have reloaded it. Looks like it has. So let's start a render. And let's assign the same material. God, it kills the forms so quickly. Is it worth keeping with Lambert actually for a bit? Let's assign a new material. Right, so what's working and what's not? This is not right, is it? And none of the is right actually. This needs to come down a lot more. So obviously it's not the most discrete, but I'm seeing a change in tone here, which would mean that this needs to come down. And this shape is too high, so it needs to come down. Or we'll go in and this needs to come out. Let's save this as progress image 2, but we'll save over this at the end of the stream. Why does it keep going there? So let's save it progress image 2. And we can probably block out clothing. Like just literally standard shapes, like not actually get any folds or anything. Because modeling this thing is going to be a bitch. I was debating doing it in Marvelous Designer, but the more I looked into it, the more I thought, nope, fuck that, it'd be easier to polymodel. Because you could do this relatively easily with curves and lofting them. So I'll say relatively easy. It's still slow and painful, but downside quicker. So let's get that in there. I feel like I should re-render this with the Lambert shader. You'll see. In fact, yeah, before I lose track, let me open (910), so it's coming 917, so that's gonna be the latest one. Let's open that. Okay, so let's just merge visible. So you plug in pre-process current. Yeah, I can leave that going in the background while I do my thing. I just want to make sure that my progress images are at least somewhat consistent. So I'll stay with Lambert for a little bit. Help me see the forms, and then, well, this Lambert-ish type of thing. And then once I got the forms, I can start worrying about the shader and how that reacts. So let's get into Critter. Open the file. File open. And let's copy that layer and paste the layer. I've not been brave enough on the eye or the nose. Or the cheekbone. I've not been brave enough in any of the shapes, have I? Let's just quickly. Cool. Z plugin. I just want to get this first render while it's still in my mind. Oh, ZBrush, blockout sculpt exports. So let's just call this temp. We'll delete it later. Cool. And then Lightbox, open file. We'll just open the latest one. Why is this so much bigger than the other files? Oh, because he's really high poly. Cool, so we've got that. Let's just quickly get back into Maya. Save the scene. File. Reference editor. Place reference. Temp. You can leave that to clean up for a little bit, and that can be our like first stream progress render. It just gives a nicer kind of, you know, image for progression, basically. Yeah, so let's leave that going. Right, okay, so what the main issues? Well, brows are in the right place. This crease actually lines up horribly well. That line is literally in the same place as one of the lines in the sketch. So that's a good sign. That ear is still way too big. This bit needs to be more inflated because it seems rounder. Bottom of the ear is lining up closer, which it wasn't before, so that's better. Jaw's too wide at the bottom. So let's just delete this layer. Remove layer. Cool, so let's just line there, line there. Yeah, so we need to remove a bit of volume from there. Yeah, so you can see how far off the shapes are. Nostrils need to come in that way, and that way. Eye needs to go up still. Not as much as last time though. About there. Yep. I'm trying to like figure out where these shapes lie. So let's get into there. Pull the jaw in, so that's the first one. Second one was to pull you in, you out, inflate you a bit, pull this whole thing forward. I still need to go up. You needed to go, how is it the nose needed to go? Narrower and in. Oh, we can resave this guy now. Save image. Still sticky monsters. I don't think it's gonna let go of that, is it? File. Reference editor. Replace that reference. Let's kill that for a moment. So, what else needs to change? Did I change the nose? In a little bit. What else was there? This corner needs to go back a bit. Looks like it might be better. A lot of these changes get quicker once you retypo, but again, I don't want to retypo until the shapes are ballpark correct. So, merge visible. Versus current. I'm just really trying my hardest to kind of learn the lessons from the FK Twigs project, and I'm trying to implement them to this one. So the issue I had with the FK Twigs project is I waited way too long before doing lineups and like really taking them seriously. Like things like the neck, for example, it was like what, stream fucking 15 before I took the neck seriously in the reference. So I really want to like really try to learn the lesson from that, which is trust the ref. That's why I'm going so kind of hardcore on matching the ref at this stage. Z plugin. Decimate current. Export. Cool, then we can delete you. Cool, that should be a bit closer. Let's just save a snapshot. gonna really need to deepen up the creases on his brow, I think. I think doing the eyes on this guy, the look depth for them will be quite fun. I kind of want to do it in a what's the word I'm looking for right now? Probably lower that to 0. I could probably do it in a more kind of controlled way. So in the Twigs project, I used texturing XYZ eyes. I think I projected the color, but I used like displacement and stuff from there. So it might be fun to actually try to make my own eyes like from scratch in this one. This head isn't the right shape, is it? The ears feel like they're a lot closer now in shape though. Nose still feels too bulbous. So much of this will change in the pose though. We also have the issue to deal with like the shadowing for his tongue, because that doesn't seem to make much sense. I feel like this area needs to be slimmed out a bit, like kind of completely pulled in. Save image. Still want to sticky monsters. Maybe I need to restart Maya, because obviously I created the Maya project in this instance of Maya. So when I reopen it, maybe it will take the paths a bit more seriously. Progression images. Cool. Let's kill that and kill that. File, open. Copy layer. Paste layer. Much closer. So what needs to change? The jaw needs to come in. The ears are matching pretty closely now. It's not a million miles away. Nose isn't far off. I think the nostrils are too big. That crease needs to curl up a bit. Yeah, I think the I really don't understand what's happening here. Like, this shape doesn't make much sense to me. Yeah, so let's pull the mouth in a bit more narrow here. This shape needs to pull straighter. This crease is kind of wrapping around too much. The main thing is the jaw. Eyes getting closer, but it's still not quite right. Yeah, let's the jaw is the main thing. So let's just pull that back a bit, and then you straighten out a bit and pull in while you're at it. nose was the next thing. What's the nostril doing? Nostril needs to be pulled in. This volume here needs pulling into. But let's focus on nostrils first. So down at the outer side and in. So that means you need to come down and in. So it's basically being stretched more. And then this bit, did that need to go down as well? It does. Basically just being pulled more. Okay. What about the chin itself? That needs to be narrowed out a bit. And this line needs to be lowered and curved more. So, oh wait, this needs to be narrowed, wasn't it? And this needs to come down more. And the next thing was these sides of the head. Was there anything about the ear? Yeah, there's a lot about the ear. Earlobe is still not low enough. And I think this entire structure needs to go lower. So let's give that a go. Maybe it was an attached earlobe. Maybe I was misreading that the whole time. And let's just clean up that sculpt a bit. That's looking a bit sad. This bit needs to be flatter, doesn't it? Kind of imply more pulling. Then this itself needs to be deeper. That bit needs to be pulled up slightly, didn't it? Like that. Not too fond of that change though. It feels a bit strong. And the eye still needed to go up, didn't it? Yeah, eye still needs to go up. It's more subtle, but it still needs to go up. And also this horizontal line needs to go up more. So the entire eye needs to go like that, and then the eyeball itself, and then we need to mask out the eyelid so that I can do this. What about the outer side of that? That seems mostly fine, just needs pulled in a bit. getting the wrong vibes from this. Getting the wrong vibes from this now. I need to smooth that in a lot more. I feel like I need to trust my gut on something for a moment. That's feeling better. Save this. When was that saved? Okay. Really not sure on the eyebrow changes. I think it's because I've got attached to this expression. It's not the correct one, but I've got attached to it anyway. Like, I need to abandon it because it's not correct, but it's still gonna bother me. Well, ain't this a predicament? Well, I need to push forward with the correct shapes. So let's just keep going. Really not sure on these new eyes. Let's just sculpt for a bit and see what shapes we find. The issue is this area, it's not this one. This area is fine, this one just doesn't make sense. Maybe that needs to connect over a little bit. Maybe it's a mix of both of those poses. Because what we're seeing in this ref could be that it still continues over this way, but there's a break. So let's see what pulling this over does. And there we go, it's starting to work again. Alright, so that's what it was. That shape doesn't make sense anymore. So what I was saying on like like when I posted this last night, someone said like, oh, how do you kind of get sculpts out at that kind of pace? And the thing that I always come back to is that I literally don't care about my sculpts. Like, yeah, obviously I care about the final outcome, but I don't care about the sculpt along the way, or I try my best to not care about the sculpt along the way. So when I really like a shape, if it's not right, it's not right. I need to let go of it. I'm trying to get better with that. It doesn't always happen. There's definitely been instances where I've just been like stubbornly holding on to a shape for no good reason. But yeah, I feel like this sculpt is going to be a really good one for pushing that out of me a bit, because he's got a lot of shapes. None of them are going to be physically correct because there's so much like artistic brushstroke stuff going on. I feel like this shape is part of the issue. There's all about subtleties in this sort of shit and I hate it. These aren't shapes I'm seeing, I'm just sculpting those, aren't I? Adding some creases going down is going to help. Yeah, the one on the right is closer to the new expression. I still prefer the one on the left, but I don't want to pick it because I prefer it. There's something that is working more about the left one though. I need to figure out what that is. I think it genuinely is just that little lump there. It doesn't make sense. Oh, and that's got stronger. I need to reduce that. To fix the actual eyelid itself. It looks like it's getting a bit too thick. Cool, let's get him exported and tested. So, merge visible. I feel like I already know what my next note to myself is going to be. This feels too bumpy. I feel like the shape's a lot more subtle than what I'm giving them credit for. That eyelid isn't big enough. I'll do a comparison render anyway to see, but feel like I'm getting towards a stage where over sculpting is going to become an issue soon. Definitely feels like an old man, so we've done something right. The eyes are bugging me now though. Lost a little bit of niceness that they had. It's this shape, it doesn't make sense. I've got a shape that shouldn't exist and I feel like I need to fix that. Oh, that diagonal there shouldn't exist. So before I compare it, I'm just going to go fix that. The issue is this guy. That helps quite a lot. So let's sculpt the eyelids a little bit just to make them feel nicer. Do feel a bit artificially bumpy at the moment. That's feeling better. Got rid of some of the nasty shapes that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Right now I'm focusing less on the ref and more on fixing shapes, like making the shapes feel appealing. Which sounds like a backwards idea and it sounds like it's going against everything I was just saying. Maybe it is, but I feel like it needs to be sorted out. Just worrying more about making the shapes feel nice. Kind of making it feel like a sculpture rather than a bad recreation of a photo. So let's even these guys out a little bit. Start to feel a bit better now. Just keep pushing it a little bit though. There's something really alien feeling about his eyes now though. I think it's that little ridge. This sort of thing that I'm doing right now is the sort of stuff where your topology gets messed up really quick. Which is another reason I've not gone into retopology yet. Well, I say yet as if we've been doing this for ages. We are only in stream 2, but still. Too hollow, isn't it? I love making really hollow eye sockets. I tend to overdo it. That's better. Just fix the shape of that crease. Cool. Is there anything else about chin? Something still feels off about that. Cool, that feels a lot closer. Yeah, I definitely need to do some research on the brow area in terms of making it work. I feel like this is too round as well. After we've done this, I think I'll spend like 30 minutes on the ears, make those look a lot nicer, and then we can call the stream off at like 8:30 or something, maybe 8:45. Then I'll go play some video games. Chill out for the evening before another day of work tomorrow. I'm beginning to feel like I should hollow out this little area, but I'm not going to do that until I do a comparison render. So Z plug in, this estimate current, export. File reference editor. Reload. There we go. That bumpy area is really driving me mental. Weirdly, this one felt more natural. What is it that my new one's missing that the old one had? Granted, it's still a hell of a lot better than the start of the stream. Yeah, of course it's sticky monsters again. Progression images. Let's keep this in here as well, just so I can compare it. Then what were you? Okay, so delete you. Okay, so open. Copy layer, paste. My old one was just more rounded, wasn't it? I don't think it's the forms, I think it's just the roundness that things had in the old version were nicer. But I can rebuild that really easily, that's no issue at all. The question is, how does it compare to the model now? We need to pull this corner of the mouth up quite a lot. The cheekbones are still too wide. Incredible. Okay. Then I think the height of this ear is an asymmetry thing. I can add that later. This little bump here still needs to go in. Yeah, cheekbones need reducing just a little bit. And then I'll focus on the roundness of shapes for a little while, I think. So, delete you. Get some of that peel back. So, cheekbone, still mildly too large. That might be enough. What was it about the jaw that I didn't like? So it's just this little corner. I need to stop doing that. There we go. Oh yeah, you. So let's just fill that out a little bit. And let's just focus on the niceness of these shapes for a little bit. Because I think for the most part, let's check the nose actually. Curious about the nose. Nose is too wide. That's an easy fix. We need to add this crease too. wonder what causes that bug. Yeah, so we just need to narrow this bit out, I think. So, now that we've got that, let's focus on making the shapes a bit more appealing. So, the keyword there is appealing, not realistic. I just want to make stuff less horrible to look at. So the main thing is to remove bumpiness that feels alien. Things like this little guy here. This area is the main issue, so let's just get a little bit more going on. Hate this song. Please stop coming back up. Asking so nicely. Chat's pretty quiet today. You guys okay? Is it entirely new people watching or anyone lurking? Volume on you, maybe. Oh, the mouth needs to pull way up, doesn't it? God, that's creepy. That absolutely needs to be softened out too. Is that corner pull too much? No, I think it's about right. Maybe a little bit too much in the corner, but we can reduce that. That maybe. And what we need is for this guy to kind of pinch up in there. Although it looks like that's not happening. Maybe this guy did have a stroke. feel like I almost need to dynamesh a tube in to get this volume correct. Well, it's starting to get better. Nope, that's not what I want at all. Alright, so let's get these ears going. So it's mainly a smoothness thing. And this needs to come in, I think. Let's just grab you. So that's that one done. And we'll smooth out the shapes as I go. So I'll get some imaginary shapes in here for a moment. So let's start rounding this out a bit more. I'm gonna keep the brush strokes on the ears. I feel like that'd be helpful until like literally right at the end. I don't know what happened to my voice there. Again, there is a point to be made that I could technically get the roundness of the shape by using a curve tube. And I'm dynameshing that in. I feel like I underutilise curve tubes a bit. I feel like this needs to curve in. It kind of has like a little scoop. Redynamesh it. What I'm trying to get rid of at the moment are these ridges that you see, because they never feel natural. They can feel cool. Maybe the next project should do, like the next portrait project should be a Dishonored style thing. Someone made a really nice Dishonored fan art recently. Right. Let's keep pushing this a little bit. So you definitely need to come more this way. Get a little bit more underlying structure. Was there anything about the nose shape that I missed? It still needs to be a bit more narrow here, doesn't it? I see that actually, it's right there. His nose must be pulled so tight. Oh, that eyelid's looking a bit sad from the side. get a little bit more profile on this guy. I think that'll do. It's a good place to end the stream, I think. So I'll get this guy saved out, put into render, and I'll get a clean render going. Might have an experiment with some depth of field. Yeah, so that's that saved. So let's merge visible, and then Z plugin, preprocess current. Leave that going. While that's going, let's quickly clean up where is it? Modeling, ZBrush. Just delete that temp. Can get rid of the MTL file too. Decimate current. Cool. Get this guy closed. Actually, I did already do that. Alright, cool. Get into Maya. File. References, reference, reload reference. I'm surprised how close some of those shapes were. There's some stuff that actually hasn't moved. That makes me happy. Move that off screen. But yeah, so that's it for this stream. Only a quick one because I did stream yesterday as well. But yeah, I feel like we've made some pretty good progress today. I feel like in the next stream, that'll be like the last one where I'm just sculpting and like blocking out shapes and make sure everything's in the right place. I'll probably get more real world reference and start matching those. Then we can start retopologizing, UVing, projecting it back onto the sculpt. So it'll be like stream 6 or 7, we'll start adding that asymmetry that will really get the final pose. We also need to sculpt a body actually, so maybe that will be in the next stream too. But yeah, so I'll have a day off tomorrow because I will go out cycling. Didn't cycle today because weather's not ideal. Yeah, so I'll be out tomorrow, but on Thursday should be streaming again. And yeah, we'll see how far we can push this guy, but I'm pretty happy with the progress we're making. So, pretty happy in general, really. Let's put that back up and do a little bit more. But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it or learned something or whatever you watch this for. And yeah, see you in the next stream. Bye guys.